Human life, mysterious it is. It is met sometimes with serious tragedies of death, war and sickness, and just different kinds of situations that meets human life. Interestingly enough, some of the tragedies that come in human life tends to induce man into a kind of reflection, and man is able to abstract some lessons from particular situations. So, even in our current situation with the COVID-19, there are a number of lessons, there are a number of issues that COVID-19 brings into perspective. COVID-19, for me, what comes to my mind is the contingency of man, the limitedness of man and his activities, his dependence. Because as we are speaking now, almost everything that man does has come to a standstill, as if there's a brake pad that has just been applied, and almost everything has just gone to rest. Things have come to a standstill. Why do I say this? Schools have closed. Some factories are not working. Some shops are not working. People cannot go for work. The usual routines have just been disrupted. Hence, man seems to have just been caught up in this surprising situation. We know that for some time now, man has also been caught up in this massive mode of production in a capitalistic society that has engulfed the world. Hence, production is taking place almost throughout every time. And this has been the routine of how man has been living life. Hence, this has had an impact on the society of man, on the life of man. In the process of this routine, human beings have forgotten others. Like there has been a loss of this awareness of other human beings and of how much humans need others. Now, the danger is once a human being loses the sense of awareness of the other, you tend to lose respect for life. You can use other human beings to obtain whatever you want. We live in a society that is driven by a certain drive for excessive profits, or this drive to acquire as much as possible. Hence, the human beings do not come first. Instead, what comes first is how much one wants to gather at the end of the day. A routine of wanting to gather as much as possible at all costs, even using other human beings as means to achieve that particular goal or those goals, is that man tends to malnourish himself. Man has value in himself. Man has virtues in himself. Man can love. Man can forgive. Man can be generous. Man can be compassionate. But once man loses these values, man tends to just lose the sense of the other. They can use the other as a tool to achieve the end. Now, what has happened in this situation of the current pandemic? We've come to realize that human beings need others, and this has been rightly expressed in different situations where we've seen people who have expressed values of philanthropy, the love for other human beings. We saw some doctors who were sent from Cuba to Italy to go and supplement, to go and help out the medical doctors who were overwhelmed by the situation of COVID-19 in Italy. And we've seen a number of people who have made donations, like who have made pledges of testing kits and different kinds of things, money, material stuff. People have come to realize, they have been made to feel that experience in them, to see other human beings suffer in different ways. Hence, this, in a sense, it has brought to light that there are still other people who have the love for others. Hence, man has to realize that human beings are important despite the situation that may come, human beings will always be important because they have value in themselves, and that whatever status or position in the society that they hold, that does not matter, that does not make it count. Human beings have got value which does not need qualification. Now, to the African society, the fear that has gripped the continent, especially the leaders, because COVID-19 is serving as a litmus test to the development that political leaders claim to be implementing, because COVID-19 comes with a certain threat and impact which is quite serious. Hence, the capacity of a particular government or maybe a particular leader is for them to be able to ameliorate the situation. Now, what capacity has Africa developed to be able to face this pandemic that has come in a very serious way? So far, it's not strange to conclude that most of the African governments are caught up in between a rock and a tough place or a hard place, because they are caught with this situation of trying to continue running the country or managing the economy. Meanwhile, on the other side, there's the pressing need of fighting coronavirus or COVID-19. Now, how do they stop this? And it's been evident that most of the cases in Africa were those that were brought with by the people who traveled to high-risk places or where there was COVID-19. Now, in this circumstance, they are caught up in between because they can't close the borders, because most of the economies are import-oriented. Most of the things come from outside of the continent or they come from other countries. Meanwhile, most of the countries have sealed their borders. For me, development lies in how much people are able to survive on their own, the quality of life that people are able to have, whether they work for themselves or they work for the government. Like the current preventive measures where people are told to self-isolate, people to observe social distance. It's very difficult because most of the people have to go and work, and most of the workplaces are congested. There are other people. So many people are forced to work, or they are forced to break these preventive measures or to forgo them for the sake of them being able to obtain something which they will eat at the end of the day. And most of the people survive on hand to mouth. So it's very difficult for them to observe the preventive measures that have been put forth. So this, I think it's a lesson for most of the leaders, how honest they are in terms of running these countries. If you follow a lot of these current affairs or anything that happens on the continent, if there's something that is so common is the discussion of how Africans usually store huge sums of money in foreign accounts which they call safe havens, and this money just empowers already developed countries. Meanwhile, most of the African countries languish in poverty, where even the health systems are quite poor. Hence, with a situation like this, it's a serious quagmire that the leaders and the elites are caught up in. They don't know what to do. Even now, they cannot even go to foreign countries to go and obtain first-class medical treatment or advanced kinds of treatment, because even themselves, they're having serious situations, or they are having pressing needs in their healthcare systems. So this calls for people to love, like to have extreme patriotism for their countries, for the continent, for them to see to it that the countries where they come from, and also the continent develops. As individuals, what can we abstract from this? Probably we are reminded to be people who are focused, people who are able to anticipate future eventualities. Life is never constant. It's full of eventualities like the current situation. If it wasn't anticipated and someone has just been living life like that without investments, now it becomes very difficult. I was talking about not following the preventive measures because people have to go and work for them to find something to eat. So people have to invest from the little that they get from whichever kind of work that they do. At least try to invest, save something, so that in case of any eventuality, you are not so much pressed in the corner, so that you will be able to go even against desperate situations. So investment is something that has to be promoted even after this COVID-19 situation. I know and I believe that it will come to pass. So what lessons do I draw as an individual from the current obtaining situation of COVID-19?